Hey, welcome back to Shadow Shorts. If you're new around here, if you've never seen one of these before, let me introduce myself. I'm Jeff Eccles. I am a senior advisor and the head of marketing at Shadow Partners. And today I am joined by Henry Nutt. He is a pre-construction executive at Southland Industries, and he's an author. We'll talk about his new book here in just a second. But Henry, welcome to Shadow Shorts. Thanks for carving out a time and doing this from your car. Actually, this is one of the beauties of the technologies that we have available to us today, that you can do this from anywhere in the world. So thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, Jeff. This is actually kind of a unique morning for me. I have an appointment where I'm going to be speaking to a group of young people trying to enter the industry. I've been there a few times, but it's a location where I still need to use my map to get there. So I'm driving there and trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to go in their office and use their facilities to have this discussion. And suddenly my phone decides that the map was going to freeze on me when I'm
Uh,
about 5 minutes away, and I ended up having to pull in the parking lot, and here I am. So yeah, technology allows us to do that, so that's a great thing.
but it is a great thing, yeah. And
Yeah.
there's the pros and the cons of all this technology that we talk about. It's great when it works, and when it doesn't, well, that's a different thing. But that's kind of a nice segue, I think, because we had planned on talking about the future of the construction industry, which means could mean a lot of things. Obviously, you write about a number of maybe more people focused things in your book, and um, that may be one of the most important resources that we have when we look out into the future. Again, we talk about technology a lot, but when you're thinking about the people in the industry, when you're thinking about the future of the construction industry, what's top of mind for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. And for me, it's really about the health, the mental well-being, the psychological safety of the people entering the industry. It's the new folks that maybe didn't come up the way that I did in regards to having a dad that showed you the ropes and or came from the industry and can kind of you just kind of adapt, or you were doing it as a kid. So it's easy just to kind of get in the groove of it, and you don't necessarily have that type of training and development going on with younger people, and it's been a tough industry. And so how do we make sure that the people who are coming in are ready, that actually they want to do it? As you think the stigma that lies on construction in regards to it's just for the tough guys, and the boys don't cry and all that kind of mentality. And when we recognize, we really look at the statistics that exist in our industry with the suicide rates, the lack of care, and also the substance abuse that exists within our industry. It's not healthy. And so those are some very important topics that we have to address. We have to re-image the industry, and really, what does it look like for people? Why should they even want to enter it? It's cool, it's fun, it looks exciting, being on these buildings and doing these things and working on large equipment and bringing in these huge components and all that, but at the same time, we haven't done well with how we take care of the people that are on the ground doing the jobs. And so there's a lot of folks around doing that, having those conversations now. And that's really my focus. I've done a lot with lean construction. I'm the current chair of LCI, but what I emphasize my time with is that respect for people, which is one of our tenets for LCI. And what does that look like? What does that genuinely look like? And as a superintendent for 12 years at Southland, I got a chance to really execute in that fashion, where I worked for, working for a company that really does put people first, and having the opportunity to not only think about the time, the productivity, the physical safety, the performance on the projects, but actually the people and how they're doing, and making sure they show up to work, ready to work, and giving their full selves to the job because they're not preoccupied with all these other things. And so we just haven't made space for that as an industry, for conversations that do that check in with people. And I put my mindset to that's where I want to put my energy towards, and really think about how do we make sure that when people show up to work, that in this industry specifically, that they can come uh, with an understanding that if their day is not going well, if there's issues happening that will affect their job, their safety, that they can talk about that, and they won't be punished or penalized or ostracized, or blackballed, and all the things that unfortunately we've done for ages. So those are the things that are important to me, and I think that's the contribution that I made with my book, and just what we do as a company, and to be able to have people you work with that operate that way really gives you the confidence and security, to say, yeah, this is okay to do.
So when I think about that, and I hear you saying that, and I think there are probably a lot of companies out there, and you may agree or not with this, but that are at least giving lip service to this. I think a lot of what you just said may fall into that category of it sounds simple, but it may not be easy. So how do we start to, because changing tides and a lot of years of tradition and other things behind what you're saying. So how do we start to implement what you're talking about? How do we create initiatives or push initiatives that make sure that what you care about, what you were just describing, is actually becoming reality in the industry?
Yeah, that's an important conversation to have as well. And so it's easy enough to say we're going to throw some initiatives together and talk about 5 points, and then we're going to roll this program out, right? And you know what happens when you do that. Many times it just falls to the ground, or you get people that just don't believe that you're really serious about it. So a few years back on a project, I was with a group of people, and there was a gentleman that asked a question: what is the most important thing or aspect of our industry to you for this team? One word. And this was an executive for this $1 billion project for his particular team, and he said empathy. And it honestly struck me that, because I didn't expect that word to come out of his mouth. And 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 he really explained it, and talked about why this matters. And when you actually can identify with someone, and understand why they're dealing with their issue, why they may show up in a way that may not look normal, or it's different from what you're used to seeing, but you have no way to attach the why to that. You don't understand really intricately, or be able to put yourself in their shoes and say, I get it. When you can do that, then you can begin to roll out programs and initiatives that really will meet people where they live, because you're not trying to address it from a compliance standpoint. You're trying to address it from a very human standpoint, and you're going to be holistic about the process. And so you have to get, and that's where that the simple versus easy kind of thing goes into play. Is like, it sounds easy, right? But it's not, and it requires something that we don't spend a lot of time giving ourselves energy towards to think about, or thinking or considering, the depth of what it means to actually empathize with someone, what you have to do personally, to go to that place yourself. And it's not easy for a lot of people to do that, and especially with an industry that has not essentially condoned this kind of behavior, where you actually care about people. You consider how they're doing. It's just not been that industry. So I think it's really important. And one of our superintendents, several months back, told me, he wrote me an email, and he said to me that, he heard me use the word empathy years ago, and he said that word doesn't belong in this industry. And he said it to himself, and he told me this later, that this is how I felt. But he got a chance to get exposed to different people that, don't look like him, and whether they're women or people of color, and he had a chance to like work with them for several years, and engage and see that they have the same aspirations, desires, goals. They want to provide for their families just like anyone else. But the one thing they may not have is an opportunity. They may not have the connection in the industry. And so as he began to be engaged in this kind of work, and see some of the people that he got a chance to hire, he really recognized that, man, I missed it. But he developed an empathetic mindset, heart, and began to see all people as opportunities in regards to providing those opportunities, and so he had to have his own personal kind of transformation, and we say in the lean world, your own aha moment. And that was his aha moment, where it becomes something that he does because it's not just about doing the right thing, it's something that he cares about. And then he becomes a spokesperson for it, which means I can go do something else, right? And
Yeah.
so it's kind of recreating yourself and other people. And so he genuinely does this work now, and has a passion for it, and probably has a larger audience than I do. And so it's understanding how important those things are, and getting those key strategic people involved and helping them develop empathy. It doesn't mean that you're feeling sorry for people. It just means that you understand that everyone doesn't walk in the same shoes. And when you understand their shoes and how they fit on you, it's easier to recognize some of the pros, the cons, some of the complexities, some of the obstacles, and not to make excuses for people, but just to recognize that, you know what, everybody can't do what I did because they didn't have the same opportunities that I had.
Yeah, yeah. That's to me that's intriguing because we talk a lot about change and innovation here at Shadow Shorts and in this environment of venture capital and investing in innovation for the built environment. And I think part of what you're talking about is actually quite innovative, but it's coming from a completely different direction than we would think of as a SaaS software or a robot in construction or something like that. Um, so I appreciate you bringing that perspective. Do you see it as innovative in any way?
I do, and I had someone that shared that with me several years ago, and just used that word, that this is
Yeah,
innovative thinking. And when
yeah,
we think about change in this industry, the revolutionary changes that have happened in this industry in regards to technology, processes, um, innovation with lean construction and prefab and modularization and all those things that we do, that it's easy to coin the phrase or the term
mhm,
that it's innovative. But we think about people. We think about how we engage with people and how we have to transform how we do that. It's an innovation. And if people would understand it to that level, they'd recognize that, hey, I want to be better. I want to provide an end product that is competitively put together. I want to have great productivity numbers on my job. I want to meet my deadlines. I want to do my job safer. All those things are factored into this kind of innovation and this innovative thinking, which is how we engage people and how we train our leadership to be more deliberate in regards to how we deliver that, how we engage those folks, and we can't use the same old styles of thinking and terminology and ideas. And it's change, it's transformation, it's innovation. And so it's absolutely that. And that's how I coin it and talk with people about it, to kind of help. Sometimes it's speaking the language that people understand,
mhm.
and not getting the kind of deer in the headlights. And when you say something like DEI or something like that, people get afraid and they start wondering, where's he going to go with this conversation? Is it a black and white thing? And so sometimes it is just that, but many times it's not. And so it's a matter of how you engage in the conversation in order to have the greatest impact. And you got to know your audience. You got to know who you're talking to, and what their proclivities are, what their concerns may be, where they go when you use words that may trigger them. And knowing that if I want to be effective, if my objective is to really try to accomplish something, then I need to figure out the best way to convey the message. And innovation is key to that process.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're exactly right on that. Henry, thanks so much for this conversation today. It's a shadow short, so we have to keep it short, but this is one that we could probably carry on for a few hours if we both had the time. Tell us the name of your book and where we can get it.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's been great, Jeff. Appreciate it. So my book, it's called Seven Principles: Creating Success, Creating Your Success in the Construction Industry. You can find it on Amazon. You can also find it on my website at hgn3partners. Um, .com, and it's a great little handbook. It's only about 87 pages, but it's designed for folks who maybe not like to read, and it'll hopefully intrigue you and help the younger folks understand how to create their own pathway, and hopefully some of the legacy folks to understand how to communicate more effectively to those people entering our industry.
Great, great. I love it. So go pick up Henry's book at Amazon, work through it, and see what innovation you can make in the realm of the way that you deal with people and the way that you see yourself in the profession or in the industry. Henry, thanks again so much for doing this. To all of you out there that watch this either live or in some time shifted manner, thank you for this. We'll be back tomorrow for another Shadow Short. And until then, I hope you have a great day.